Hey, Insider, we got a special guest joining us today who've recently graduated from our flagship course, LMA, and she'll be sharing with us her experience on board and how she found the whole experience and everything in between. Just want to say it's a pleasure to see you. Let's start with a quick introductory question. What's your name, where you're currently based, and what you currently do?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. So my name is Dr. Delicia Haynes. I'm a family physician in Daytona Beach, Florida. I own my own clinic and have been serving here for almost 13 years. And then in addition, I help other doctors who are interested in transitioning to kind of direct primary care. And I'm a huge mental health advocate, so do a lot of work there as well.
Nice. So what originally motivated you to join us on board LMA?
I was really I've always known that I was in my own way, and that in order for me to move forward personally and in my businesses, that I needed to find a way to get out of my own way, basically. Um, and so I found the course, and of course I didn't know when I signed up, if it would be the right thing. I've done courses before that, just the layout or everything just wasn't a match for how I learn. So I just really happy with just how everything was laid out and how well everything was.
Okay. So you're saying you was getting in your own way. What was that showing up like every single day? What patterns were you noticing?
It was really just like Groundhog's Day. Like every day I got up and I would do the same thing. At the end of the day, I would um, be happy with the service that I was giving other people, but not with what I was doing for myself to move my own personal goals forward. And just kept putting myself last. And just knew that like my personal, like my goals weren't, it was nothing was going to happen unless I changed.
Right. So it's almost like a hamster on a wheel sort of thing, recurring
Mhm.
patterns. Okay. Do you recall when you came across my message, our message for the first time?
Um, it- I was looking up something. I think I was looking up like an inspirational something, and there it was like a YouTube, and I watched it, and um, just something about it was just like, "Mm, let me look further into this,"
Mm.
and I'm so glad that I did.
So you signed up for the free masterclass, which is all
Mhm.
about reinvention. So that was your first time ever come across our work. What was it that resonated with you that made you want to explore further with us?
Oh, well, definitely, your story of, being really anxious and socially awkward, and all of those things, um, you know, that I definitely, uh, I saw myself in that. And in seeing myself also saw kind of more possibility for myself and the work that I could do. Um, and just you sometimes you can just tell when someone is coming from a really good place about the work that they're doing and the transformation that they want to see happen. And so I knew that I knew that I could not go wrong investing in myself, so decided to do it.
Right. So you're well versed in personal development by the sound of things and you're a mental health advocate and so forth. And you said you went through other courses prior to LMA. So if you were to be honest, when you were presented this chance to join us on board, what would you say were some of your biggest doubts or fears that you had about this course and what ended up putting that to rest for you?
Well, I guess my biggest thing was me, like if I was going to show up. And um, I mentioned I run my own practice, and it's a pandemic, and so there's just a lot. And then so I was really happy that um, there was an opportunity to do kind of to have like the accountability,
Mm.
like the extra layer of accountability. And that's like I knew that I always show up. Sounds bad. I always show up for somebody else, but I knew that that extra layer of accountability would really help me to to show up and be consistent for my own transformation.
Okay. And you were talking about this earlier. You were going for other courses and so forth, and you mentioned that the structure.
Mhm.
and you said LMA was slightly different. What was it about it that was different for you?
So I really love the layout, and I could see how it appeals to all different types of learners. So I'm very visual, and so even just the with the slides changing and the quotes and the kind of countdowns for you to do the work in the moment, like all of those things really helped me to be present. Some days I was able to kind of do them all kind of like in a block, and other days I was able to kind of just take them like 20-minute increment, just whatever I could kind of fit in. And it was like it was that perfect mix of like really kind of like high level conceptual stuff, and then also like the tactical stuff. Like this is what you do. And I think previously I'd been through courses where I would get a lot of like conceptual things, and it was really interesting, and it kind of fed my inner nerd.
Mm.
But when it came down to like, okay, what am I actually going to do with this? Um, I didn't have like implementation. It wasn't as implementable. So I really appreciated how it had both worlds, like the kind of the high level, this is what's going on in your brain, this is the concepts, and then okay, like this is what you actually do with it.
Okay, so you like the fact that it's kind of up there and brings it down ground level,
Mhm.
allows you to do something about it. Okay. What would you say overall just made you feel the happiest or just surprised you the most about this experience?
What surprised me the most was just like I've how I've shown up for myself, and how and how different I am. We're still in a pandemic. I'm still running an office. None of that has changed, but my capacity has changed, and um, and everyone has noticed it in terms of just like okay, all these things are going on, and I'm just so very solutions oriented. It's like we're just not going to give any energy to like wallowing. Um, it's all about okay, what can we do to move this forward, to take care of people, take care of ourselves. I'm leaving work earlier. I've done my mental health walk. Like I go for a sunset walk, and I've maintained that like every day, no matter what. I just put everything down and leave. Um, so just I guess I would say my capacity is the biggest change. My ability to um, roll with the punches and keep moving.
Okay. In terms of how you're able to approach these different challenges and the amount you can take on, sort of thing.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. Do you recall when that shift happened for you, or was it more incremental in terms of it built up on each other?
I think it was incremental, and there were so many of the I forget which week it was, but even one of the weeks when it was all about just like your space and organization. And I, looked around and I was like, "Ooh, this is a problem." And I just spent some time just, you know, getting rid of clutter, and ended up finding some things that I was looking for. Um, so I think it really like everything kind of like built on the previous
Mm.
step. And it was I'm kind of glad that I didn't try to like look at too far ahead. I just kind of like took it piece by piece, and then looking backwards I can see how it all um kind of like worked together to move forward.
Okay. So one of the final questions, what would you say out of all the benefits, what would you say has been the biggest in your life that you've seen in terms of changes and improvements?
I would say the biggest the biggest benefit is just my ability to really quickly process things and make a decision and move forward. I can be very before I can I like to intellectualize things, so I would just kind of like think of it this way and that way and the other way, and still kind of taking information to account, but just being very like, okay, this is the decision, moving forward next. And not getting as just bogged down
Mm.
in things, both from an emotional standpoint and also, um, from a business standpoint, because obviously, like, who I am matters in terms of what the business is doing.
Yeah.
And so when like being able to be more comfortable both expressing my emotions, knowing where they're coming from, knowing how they're showing up, and um, not letting them like run the show, but not ignoring them. And um, just being able being a more effective like leader here that I need to be, and not letting my business life or persona like take away from me as a total person and all the other things that I want to do and be.
Okay. Final question is, what advice would you give to somebody watching this right now who's possibly considering and joining LMA, having been through this experience yourself and having gone through this methodology? What advice would you give to them right now?
I mean, I would just say to really think about what you're doing, and if what you're doing is getting you the results that you want. And if it's not, then um, look for something that can. And if you know, like me, that you're the person that's in your own way, what can you do to really kind of move yourself forward and have some accountability and have some fun and like, really get out of your own way. The way that the way that it's laid out is just so, I can tell that there was a lot of thought put into um, just every module, every exercise. At the time, it didn't always make sense, and then as you kind of move forward, you look back and say, like, okay, like that, and now I'm seeing all the pieces kind of come together, and you can never. Um, when you're investing in yourself, you just can really never go wrong. And this is definitely an investment that's paid off dividends for me personally.